Software. That which makes all of our electronics work. We interact with it every day as we go about our digital lives. From desktop computers to laptop computers to ATMs and mobile phones, we use it all the time. All of this software begins life at a desk of a programmer, where the programmer will type in a programming language the instructions he wants the computer to carry out. This will be compiled into what is called machine code. The instructions run directly on the hardware of the computer. This machine code is almost impossible for people to change and to edit. For that, they need the original source code. Many companies keep their software's source code a tightly kept secret, producing what is known as proprietary applications. However, there is an alternative to proprietary known as open source. Open source began with Richard Stallman in 1980, when Stallman needed to modify a printer but wasn't able to do so because of its proprietary code. Stallman soon left the MIT lab where he was working and began to tour the world, speaking about his thoughts on free and open source software. He founded the Free Software Foundation, a proponent for free and open source software. Stallman then began work on a tool set known as GNU. This could be used in addition to a kernel to compete with Microsoft's Windows operating system. He then began work on a kernel known as Herd, but he was beaten to the punch by Finnish college student Linus Torvalds. Torvalds created a computer kernel named Linux. This sparked an open source revolution, prompting organizations and companies to start creating and producing open source software, from office suites to web browsers to the software that powers mobile phones. Many companies begin using this in their infrastructure, such as Google and Amazon. With schools continually looking to cut costs, many technology experts recommended that they turn to open source. While some have, many remain locked in to their proprietary applications. Is open source a viable alternative for schools? Today we find out in Rutherford County. At the root of open source software in schools is a more basic question. Does technology enhance or distract in education?
I feel that it's an enhancement to learning. It offers a different mode of learning for the student. Sometimes learners cannot understand what the teacher is saying or grasp that concept, and if they have another mode of learning, either from a software program or from a DVD or a source on the internet, then that gives them a different way of seeing that material.
With computers and technology, we're able to give each child his own instructional plan using a variety of resources that are available. In addition, technology engages the learner, and it provides an opportunity for students to intrinsically or extrinsically be motivated by a variety of stimuli.
I don't know if our school is a lot like others, but I'm seeing more and more tablets and e-readers show up, and as long as it's not an entertainment use, I'm fine with it. And the kids use the resource in a lot of neat ways, things that I haven't even thought of yet. But it's certainly an enhancement. It's made, I think the technology just makes the education more accessible all the time. Kids can get online and look at Khan Academy and some other educational sites, and whatever the textbook vendor hasn't provided, they can go out there and they're very resourceful, finding new and great things to help them learn.
But not everyone thinks the question is so straightforward.
I think using technology in the classroom can enhance and can distract students from learning. It can do either of those two. It can obviously be in the middle ground as well, but I've seen examples of how that people have used technology to the point that their skills, their physical skills and their mental skills, atrophy. And so it's a real problem with students not knowing long division or not knowing multiplication, not being able to do simple operations. It can be a problem with people not knowing how to do some fairly basic things, but it's also a great tool to keep things from being tedious. So technology can, I mean, once we know how to do long division and we're comfortable with it, why not go ahead and use a calculator to use it so that we can do multiple long divisions without consuming inordinate amounts of classroom time. What I find is that students will often do things like in math and in science, they'll do things like graphing calculators and things of that nature, and they'll use technology to the exclusion of being able to actually graph something out or to think about the real dependent and independent variables or how to scale a graph. And that can lead to some minor problems with logic and flaws in interpretation on down the road. They pick up a graph and they don't notice scale differences and things of that nature.
But as many teachers embrace technology in the classroom, are they aware of open source?
I am aware of open source software. As a matter of fact, I am very much a proponent for open source. With our teachers, we always try to show them things that are free, things that are really good that are free. And with open source, sometimes you can get programs that are in the beta process as they are being reviewed and whatnot. And we have used programs such as Moodle, which is live and running well here in Rutherford County. We use Moodle. In addition, we use PDF Creator. It's an open source program that allows you to turn a document or a file into a PDF, and it's free. And some people, don't have Flash paper or Adobe Professional, so this is a free way to get from one format to another, and it's essential to be able to do that.
I am aware of open source to a degree, I guess. Just the idea of people around the world contributing to either a software product or tool for people to use. I'm familiar with the many flavors of Linux. In fact, I think I used one of the early Linuxes for my graduate degree at MTSU. But even now with our computer programming club, the resources that are out there, so many developer kits now. Now that may be toward the free end of commercial, but a lot of the open source things that even the Office applications like OpenOffice I think that's from Oracle, and LibreOffice, which is one of the ones that comes packaged with Ubuntu Linux. They're out there, and I've used them and been very happy with the results.
So open source technology is a very vital element in the software world.
While teachers are aware of open source, do they use it in their classrooms?
I've used open source technology for a number of years. I started out using different versions of Linux, Red Hat, and Mandrake Linux, and some other flavors of Linux, in order to set up servers so that we could have email accounts for our students, and they could correspond with people elsewhere in the world, professional people in South Africa. When you've got high school kids back in the 90s communicating with people overseas, it was pretty revolutionary.
In a classroom, I've probably used OpenOffice for some preparation materials using their spreadsheets. I've communicated with my computer club using OpenOffice as an application for those spreadsheets.
When using OpenOffice, I would like to say first that in a district as large as ours, we have had monies allocated for Office, Microsoft Office. And we have had many schools that we were able to fully load and have available to students and teachers Microsoft Office. However, most of those were schools that were open brand new, and the money, as they opened, there was a budget allocated for software. Existing schools and older schools, the pockets of money to channel into those schools hasn't been available as one would like. So What our district did was provide office for core groups and new schools and building projects, and where the money would stop, open office would take that place. It would actually serve as an option.
But with the dominance of proprietary office suites such as Microsoft Office, would open source solutions such as OpenOffice ever provide a successful, viable alternative?
When Smyrna Elementary expanded with a building wing program, we purchased some Microsoft Office for that school. However, we did not have money available to put Office into the existing classrooms. So what would be a great scenario of that is for each teacher we would have a Microsoft Office, whatever version is available at that time. Let's just say it's 2003, Office 2003, which wasn't all that popular, but let's just go there. The money would be put for the teacher computer for Microsoft Office. Open Office would be loaded on the student computers, and we have a ratio in Rutherford County. When you walk in any classroom, K through 5, you would see a minimum of 3 student computers, and that would be in our K2s. And then when we go up in grade level, those computers expand. So for grades 4 and 5, there will be 4 student computers and 1 teacher computer. So therefore, on the student computers, we would have Open Office.
I think it depends on what level you're using it for. For our students, it works fine in them working on projects, word processing, spreadsheets, presentations. Sometimes we have some issues with teachers or administrators if something has been sent from the State Department or from the district office and it is in Microsoft Word. Sometimes the translation's not quite as good, or it might not open in the same format. For high school students, if they're in career and tech, we still use Microsoft Office because that's kind of the standard when they go out into the industry world.
Comparing open office product or open products to commercial products, I think you would have to go on a case-by-case basis. For the office suites, I think that the gap between the quality of material is very close, very small gap. So whether it's word processing, database, spreadsheet, or presentation tools, the open tools that are out there, I think are comparable and right there with the commercial products. If I were looking for something that were a little more specialized in education, like a math tool, something that I would use in a geometry class, I think the commercial products are still superior, but honestly, I haven't gotten out there and explored a whole lot either. I know there's a lot of free tools out there to help learn and to teach and demonstrate math concepts, but I don't think it's the quality yet of the things I get, say, from e-instruction. That's one of our main vendors who gives us the software and the hardware to communicate in front of a math classroom.
In 1999, we built a new school in our county, and funding was a real issue. The county was actually purchasing laptop computers and desktop computers for the classroom and fully funding the computers. But what they weren't doing was they weren't funding the software to the same level. So we were still getting Windows 95 software. Well, in 98, that was reasonable. But we were still getting Microsoft Office 3.1 or something like that. Okay, it was a DOS-based program. It was it was not very user-friendly, and so I suggested to the technology people, if they wanted to, they could save about $40,000 in opening this new school. And they said, "How can we do that?" And I said, "Go with Open Office instead of Microsoft Office. Why buy the licenses for Microsoft Office?" At which point they said, "No, we want to train people a specific way for industry." And they rejected the whole idea. Okay? Fast forward 10 years to 2008, and now they have at last seen the light that it takes a lot of money to buy proprietary software. but there's a lot of open source software out there, OpenOffice or LibreOffice, that are out there. My students on a computer, they've got limited resources as far as the speed of the computer, the memory it takes, storage and stuff like that, and of course cost and portability. So what we do is we set up our laptops so that the students have the full Office suite, and it's automatically saving in a document like an RTF document or in a .doc file or something like that, an Excel-like file. And so it's portable back to their home computer no matter which software they have. And so students are really finding that to be a real benefit. And students are a lot more flexible than, say, the purchasing agents for school systems.
Open source, an option for teachers wanting to bring technology to their students, to prepare them for one day when they will live and work in a digital world. Or perhaps they're there already.
Using the technology as the means rather than the end goal. Really, technology and education are so intertwined now that it's inseparable. The kids today that we have as students, say an 8th grader now, will enter the job force in 8 more years. So in 2020, obviously they will be competing for jobs that don't even exist yet, and most of those jobs will probably involve technology of some sort. So to know that they communicate that way and not ever reference in the classroom or use it to improve the whole process, I think would be silly and maybe naive. So whether it's using a tablet or a video capture device like a flip camera, and some of those things that we use, to leave technology out would be impractical. Does it improve the quality and is it beneficial? Yeah, I certainly think so. The kids that have the tablets and the web-capable phones, I see them using them to learn and to even jot notes and use it as a planning tool, a calendar, much like an adult would. I think it's a good thing.